Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Murph's Boston Sports Talk. I am your host, James Murphy, a.k.a. Murph, and welcome back to another episode. This is episode number 179. 179 on the podcast, and hopefully you had a fantastic week. Hopefully you plan on having a fantastic weekend, whatever those adventures may endure for you. However, I am sitting here a little on the tired side. I haven't had my C4 yet. Today's flavor, if we're going to make this a segment, which we probably won't, but just since we've been talking about it the past couple weeks, was it the blueberry bombsicle, I believe it is? That's came in the 2-pack from BJ's. It was the strawberry watermelon ice, and then I believe the blueberry bombsicle is the other one. Anyways, not sponsored, obviously, but I figured I would just kind of piggyback off of a conversation from last episode. But wow, is it windy outside. Driving in, my truck is just, shaking back and forth. It's freezing outside. Holy smokes. Now the weather is starting to really pick up and start to feel more like winter, I guess is the lingo that we could use. I'm not really exactly sure, but I do come bearing an excellent piece of news, and I'm very excited to share. I'm not exactly sure when I made this announcement last year. However, this time last year, once the Super Bowl concluded, like the week after, so I was able to discuss about it on, Murph's Boston Sports Talk, I decided to go for a season break and, go on for like a 6-week break and just really pick things back up. I think it was April 1st. However, not going to do that this time around. I'm going to sit down and buckle through it. I want to talk to you guys all throughout the month of February when the Super Bowl's over, talking about the Celtics, talking about the Bruins. What did the spring training truck for the Red Sox, did that depart yesterday or the day before? I don't know how far behind I am. I think it actually departed maybe on Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm not sure. I know I'm a little behind. But spring training for the Boston Red Sox is on the horizon. Pitchers and catchers are reporting very, very soon, and it is absolutely exciting. However, when the Super Bowl's over, I cannot wait to dive into, again, the Bruins, the Celtics, the Red Sox, and spring training. And, of course, draft season. Oh, I'm so excited. Not fantasy football, which maybe some people expected, which, you know what, never too early to do some mock drafts, I guess, but the NFL draft, the 2023 NFL draft, where we're going to see lives changed and hopefully teams changed for the better, or maybe in some teams' cases the worst. But it is an exciting time. I can't wait to really dive into it with mock drafts, speculations, and this and that. It is an exciting time as we embark in the month of February, turn the page into March, and of course, deep into the spring as we endure into April. But with all that out of the way, I always, like to mention at the top of the episode, hopefully you had a fantastic week. Hopefully you have some plans for the weekend. Well, I just want to talk about a plan that I have for this weekend. Why not? I think it's a nice little subject to talk about. So as you guys know, Murph's Cartown Sports Shop, I like to set up at shows as frequent as I can. If I could do it every week, I would absolutely love to. And this weekend I have the Coventry show. It's the Cranston Card Show, but it's in Coventry at the Coventry High School. It's hopefully, I think, like a 200-table show, 150 to 200 tables, I believe. It's Rhode Island's longest running card show, and I'm very excited to be a part of it. I went to it in February, walked around. They had one in October. Heard it was lackluster, but I was at the Springfield show instead, so I didn't get to experience that. However, this one typically is the same weekend as the Super Bowl. However, since the Super Bowl is a week later than in years past because of the NFL's extra week in the regular season, the lineup just doesn't work out. So very excited for this weekend. It is going to be a busy weekend. Show starts at 8:30. I want to get there at like 7:30 to set up, maybe even before. I'm going to have to get up at like 5:30 tomorrow, and I am not looking forward to that. And listen, there may be some people that listen to Murph's Boston Sports Talk and be like, Murph, 5:30? Come on, I wake up at like 4 every day. It's like, listen, I would love to. I really would. And I know when in the military, you wake up at like 6:15 or maybe 6:45, I think it is, every day. It's like, oh, hey, I wish I could. And I told myself, and I told Mrs. Murph this, once the football season's over, done, poof, Super Bowl and everything, I would like to go to bed no later than 10 o'clock and wake up no later than like 8 o'clock. That's 10 hours of sleep right there. And I think that's totally doable. I think that's extremely doable. I just paused I know I'm completely changing gears, it like very, very, I don't even know what the word is, but I'm looking at, the sound waves on my recording system. I am seeing a little bit of feedback. I don't know if that's from the heat that's on or if that's from the guys over next door at the barbershop talking. I know they can be a little loud sometimes. I don't think that's the feedback. The heat just turned off, so I'm going to be silent for a second to see if that was the feedback. Okay, maybe it was the heat because there's no more feedback now and the heat just turned off. So whatever. All right, let's actually dive into something meaningful. I know you guys want to, hear me talk about this, talk about that. I want to talk about the Celtics. Yeah, the Celtics. I really want to dive into the Celtics today because as great of a start they had to start the season, I've done some math. In terms of their record and how they've been playing and what we could potentially expect as the second half nearingly rolls around. Now, the All-Star break isn't for another week or so. I think it's 2 weeks, actually. However, I'm obviously going to talk about the Celtics in today because they are playing the Phoenix Suns tonight, 7:30 at the Garden. And I'm very excited for that because, Suns, I do strongly believe they're a good team all in all, but, they're just hitting a rough patch. However, remember at the beginning of the season when the Celtics had this crazy start to the season? I think they were I don't want to say crazy, but they were 5-3 or whatever, and then they just shot off. Won 10 in a row, won another 10 in a row. And I sat down, did the math, and they've played currently 52 total games this year. As of today, not including the inevitable Suns game that they're going to be playing later tonight. Through yesterday, they've played 52 games. And in those 52 games, they are 37-15. Currently 2 games up on the Milwaukee Bucks, 3 games up on the Philadelphia 76ers for the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. In a vacuum, that's pretty good. That's exactly where you want to be. However, and I've been saying this all year long, I'm super hesitant to buy into this team. Super duper duper hesitant to buy into this team. But Murph, why? They're in first place. They've won all these games. Fantastic. That's really good. And yes, you can't say that this team is inexperienced because that's not true. They have experience. However, they are still young, albeit they have Al Horford. But that's besides the point. My big takeaway from predominantly the first half of the season, game played wise, it's more than the first half, but I guess the All-Star break hasn't rolled around just yet. So from the beginning of the season to December 9th through December 9th, they were 21-5. Now, I don't know how that compares to I don't know what the Bucks were doing on December 9th or the Sixers doing on December 9th, but they were in first place. They've been in first place ever since they claimed that spot way back when. But they are 21-5. Very, very good. Very, very formidable record. Since then, since December 9th, they are 16-10. Now, again, in a vacuum, 16-10, you'll take it, right? But when you're starting off 21-5 in your first 26 games, and then in your next 26 games, you go 16-10. And now, to some people, 21-5 wasn't sustainable, and I strongly believe that. 21-5 was not sustainable. 16-10, winning, 2 games for every 1 loss. I guess you'll take that, right? But everyone was just high horsing the Celtics. Oh, it's this year. Oh, the best team in the league. Look at them. Look at that. And I can think of a few people who've said that. And they had every right to say that. And I just sat here but they're fun to watch. Good team. Yeah, I want to see more. I want to see how they face adversity. They just came off a 3-game losing streak. They beat the Lakers in overtime on a questionable non-foul call. Then they just blew the doors off the Brooklyn Nets. Okay. But still, though, to significantly I don't know if you want to call it significantly regressing when you go 16-10, but when you come off a 21-5, it looks like a significant regression, if I'm being completely honest. My point is, Is this Celtics team built for a championship run? Is this Celtics team... Oh, the heat just turned back on, so if you heard a little kind of humming noise in the background, it's the heat. But is this Celtics team built for a championship run? We saw it last year. And this year, it's predominantly the same team, with the exception of the Malcolm Brogdon addition this year. So just in a vacuum, your team is better this year than it was last year. Just in a straight vacuum. Now, there's rumors Danilo Gallinari could come back this year. And listen, if he does, that's great. But I'm not going to hold my breath. Because even if he does, how good is he going to be? And how serviceable will he be to your championship run? You got a lot of good mojo right now, and you really don't want to ruin it. But I think any help would be help. So that bears the question. I got to find out when exactly the trade deadline is. NBA trade deadline. Look at that. It's a week from yesterday. So the Celtics have less than a week, or Brad Stevens has less than a week, to potentially make some moves. And I can't wait for next week's episode, because hopefully we can sit here and talk about some moves that the Celtics did make, or at least the moves around the NBA. But as we sit here right now, where could the Celtics improve? Is it guards? Is it forwards? Is it big men? I mean, I guess you could argue draft capital, but I don't think really no one cares about draft capital right now when you're first place in the Eastern Conference more than halfway through the season. And obviously, I'd say the blatant one is center. Big man, right? You got Al Horford, you got Rob Williams, you got Luke Cornett. Al Horford, age is a factor. Doesn't show it at times, but it is a factor. And it's something that you're going to have to worry about. And it's something that you may have to manage, per se. Rob Williams and his knee. Or just how about Rob Williams in general? Could become an issue. Seemingly very injury prone. But he's such a force when he's on the field. On the court. Talking too much football. Basketball is played on a field, apparently. So when I look at the Celtics and those two guys, I like Rob Williams. Love Al Horford. I think that's a great 1-2 punch at your 4-5, your center position, however you want to dice it up. Then you got Luke Cornett, who's serviceable. He'll give you, some good minutes every night, 5 to 10 minutes, whatever you need him to do. But if anything was to happen to Horford or Williams, which is possible, a lot of those minutes that they would be playing is going to go elsewhere. And Luke Cornett's probably the first person you're looking to. And this is nothing against Luke Cornett. It's just, Luke Cornett has his own role, and then you're going to have to diminish that role. It's just you need to prepare yourself. And as the league has gone smaller in terms of positionless basketball, we got guards playing forwards and forwards playing centers and point guards playing forward, whatever. It's just like, you don't want Jaylen Brown playing your 4. You don't want Tatum playing the 5 and such like that, which I guess in certain situations is fine. But just in a vacuum, that's not really not ideal. So I think the number one thing for the Celtics is a big man. Now, who could that big man be? Listen, I don't know who's available right now. I haven't really dug deep into it. But that's the first position I think of, is big man. Now, what is it going to cost you? What are you going to have to give up? Well, Peyton Pritchard, was on the Point Forward podcast, I think. I heard this on Friday. Was it with Iguodala and Evan Turner, talking about how he wants to be, he wants to be an actual, player for a team and have a big role and such like that, and he doesn't know what the next 5 to 10 years looks like, yada, yada, yada. So is trading a Peyton Pritchard going to field you a good return in terms of what you're looking for in a big man? Possibly. I don't know what the Celtics draft pick situation looks like right now, but obviously that's on the table. That's been on the table for Derek White. That was on the table for Malcolm Brogdon. And it's going to be on the table for potentially adding another piece. But then when you talk about trading and adding to this team, or just a team in general, really, you have to obviously consider chemistry. That's a real thing. When Derek White came here, took him a little bit, but he fit right in just nice. Malcolm Brogdon got traded in the offseason, so he had time to gel, but he seems like a nice fit to this team. So it doesn't happen overnight. There is a little bit of, time that takes for a new player to gel. And when you look at this team right now, as they currently stand 37-15, 2 games up, 3 games up on the teams behind them, you have to expect and anticipate those 2 teams and others are going to make trades to help bolster their rosters. And you should probably too. However, you have to consider the team chemistry at that point. Just because there's a player out there that's going to make your team better, but it could ruin your chemistry, does not mean it's a great move for your team. It's something you need to proceed with caution. And I think this is, an aspect of team building and roster management and obviously GMing that kind of goes over the heads of a lot of people, is just because there's a player X out there and you can get him for super cheap, whether it's free agency or even trading for that matter, doesn't mean he's a good fit for this team or that team. Doesn't mean he's a good fit for that team, this team, whatever team. Derek White came from the Popovich system, was a good fit. Malcolm Brogdon, he was a starter basically his whole career, and now he's taking a 6-man role. He's like the epitome of a good Celtics player. So it's like you've been lucky enough to strike gold on a couple of moves and a couple of different players, and it work out. And it's just that doesn't always happen. That's not going to be the case every single time. So when I look at the trade deadline and I'm looking at the Celtics, of course this team's led by Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. You have your veterans, Marcus Smart, Al Horford. But what is truly best for this team? Yes, of course, you could look at big man. Yes, you could always use, bench scoring. Right now your bench is, I guess oftentimes it's going to be like a Grant Williams, a Derek White, Malcolm Brogdon. I can't think of his name. Oh, yeah, you got Luke Cornett, Peyton Pritchard. Like, is that enough, though? Is the inevitable or potential return of a Danilo Gallinari going to be enough? Is that going to help you? He's not a big man, but he's a big forward who can shoot and who can defend a little bit. It's just I don't want to see the Celtics. And I hate when teams do this. The Red Sox are prone to this. Celtics did it 8 years ago when Avery Bradley was injured and he came back. We have a guy injured right now, not on our team, and we've been doing so well without him. So when he comes back, it's like we made an addition at the deadline and we didn't have to give up any compensation for. I hate that mindset. Because whenever you look at a team, you're looking at that team for how they are, but you're always thinking that you have someone else coming back. So why can't you take that next step forward and make a move that separates you from the rest of the league and not only have that returning player from injury, but bring in another player as well? So it's like you're acquiring 2 players or 2 assets for the price of 1. It's just, I guess, I'm in a situation where I'm not paid enough to make those decisions or whatever. I just sit here behind a microphone and give you my thoughts about it. So, in a vacuum, am I concerned about the Celtics? No, I'm not. Am I paused to say that they're the best team in the league? Well, yeah, I'm going to be a little paused about that. I think anyone should be. Celtics are on a 2-game winning streak, which is nice. They're 7-3 in their past 10 games. But then you got the Bucks, who are hot, 8-2 in their last 10 on a 6-game winning streak. 76ers 8-2 on they just won the other night, so they're they're coming off a win. And the rest of the East is very middling, if I'm being honest. Very, very middling. However, once the playoffs roll around, you can really never predict what's going to happen. I mean, yeah, you could probably sit here and say, like, oh, whoever's the home team is going to win. And oftentimes that's kind of true, oftentimes. But when it comes to the Celtics potentially having the number 1 seed, I'm going to be a little paused, in all honesty. And if the Celtics don't get the 1 seed, I'm going to be very upset, be very concerned. Just because, for the obvious reason. They had this hot start, 21-5. They're coming off a 3-game losing streak. They're 16-10 since December 9th. And, listen, teams go up and they go down all the time. I've said this time and time again, whether it's about the Bruins, the Celtics, whoever. The Red Sox over the summer when, they started off slow. It's like, oh, this happens. Then they'll heat up. So it happens. Hot starts, slow starts. hot stretches, cold stretches. It happens every year to every team. But I'm not concerned. I'm just at pause because I just think this team is so close to breaking. I think they're so fragile. Not emotionally, maybe not physically or spiritually. It's just like, I don't know. It's hard for me to buy into this team. Like, I know, Celtics fans always use this analogy, but the 2007, 2008 Celtics, like, you just felt that they were going to do something special. You felt that they were going to make a deep run in the playoffs, and you just felt inside that they had a legitimate shot and that they could win the NBA Finals. Just felt that inside. And, like, as fun as this team is to watch, as exciting as they are to watch, and as good as they are, like, yeah, I feel that they could go on a deep run. I feel that they could win the NBA Finals. I just don't feel the same way with this team that I did back then. Could it be because the talent across the league is better? Maybe, than it was then. Or is it just because I've seen this team fall short too many times? Whether it's one of those trips to the Eastern Conference Finals and they just couldn't finish and get to the finals before last year. Or do I just think they're an injury away? Do I think that the magic of Joe Mazzulla, the interim head coach, as great as the job he's doing, is going to run out of pixie dust? I super, super hesitant to really say Celtics are coming out of the East and they're going to be facing team X in the West and they're going to win, or it's going to whatever. I can't go that far just yet. And again, the team is predominantly similar to what they were last year, except with the addition of Malcolm Brogdon. However, a couple things went right for the Celtics last year. Again, Chris Middleton not playing in the Bucks series, Jimmy Butler missing that shot in Game 7. So it's just like one of those things went wrong for the Celtics. They wouldn't even have made the finals to begin with. So I need to be proven wrong. As much as I believe in this team, as much as I want them, and I think they can and they should, I still need to be proven. I don't want to say wrong. I mean, I guess proven wrong is not really the term. It's I still need to be shown that I should believe in this team and that I shouldn't have any doubts. And I'm just not there yet. Just not there yet. So that's going to wrap up our basketball discussion. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but Tom Brady obviously retired. If you haven't heard, which I think most people have, Tom Brady did announce his retirement. Was it on Wednesday, I believe it was? And last year, when he made his first retirement, I was a hot mess. I was emotional. I was upset. I was crying. I was like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. Oh my God. Because he still had ball left. He could still play. And listen, he could probably still play going into age 46. He could play next year and be just fine. But, like, you saw a little regression. He still threw for 4,000-something passing yards, whatever. But you could see a little regression. Now, was it him? Was it the team? With the players around him? Whatever. But I feel more at peace with his retirement. I really do. Obviously, you want to see him go out on top and into the sunset, da-da-da-da. But, an era has ended, and I'm just happy, thankful that I was able to watch it. And I think a lot of people, love him or hate him, say that, I think would say the same thing. You were able to witness greatness, regardless what side of that you're on. You were able to watch history in the record books be rewritten over and over and over again. And it's just, he's the type of player you just don't see all too often. You look at like Willie Mays, you look at Hank Aaron, you look at Michael Jordan, Kobe, Tiger Woods, LeBron, Brady, Babe Ruth, just all across spectrums of sports and the timeline that we know of. And, we could pinpoint athletes who revolutionized the sport, whether you loved them or hate them, whether you rooted for them or you rooted against them. But however, when it's all said and done, you can look back and be like, yeah, I saw that, and I was alive for that. I was a part of that in one way or the other. And, just something you're never going to see someone like Michael Jordan again. You're never going to see, Tiger Woods go, 2 straight years, whatever, being the number one golfer in the world or whatever that record was that he has. You're never going to see 7 Super Bowls again. You're never going to see 755 legal home runs. It's just unbelievable, the types of records and the stats that these guys put up. And when they're gone and they retire, they're done. And of course, you can come out of retirement. Jordan did it twice. Brady did it once. But typically, a 45-year-old retiring from the game of football, I don't think he's coming back. Listen, he did it at 45, so I guess he could do it. He did it at 44, so he might do it at 45. Who knows? But it was an absolutely amazing career to watch, and he's getting celebrated and all those flowers. You could even see the emotion, in his eyes, in his voice when he was saying, like, yeah, I did it last year, but this is it. This is for good. I'm done. And it was touching. It was really touching, and I'm very happy for him. Hopefully he's at peace with his decision, and it seems like that he is. So I'm very, very excited for the next chapter in Tom Brady's career. However, sticking with football, there's so much. I need to readjust my seat. There's so much to talk about when it comes to sports in the NFL. And I don't really want to dive into the whole Eagles and Chiefs things just yet. I don't really want to dive into that. I'll save that for next week's episode. But there's going to be an absolute quarterback carousel this offseason, one way or the other. Hold on, let me get a list of NFL teams, and I'm just gonna rattle off which one could use a quarterback going into 2023. Arizona Cardinals, because Kyler Murray's ACL injury, potentially, right? Baltimore Ravens potentially, Carolina Panthers. Chicago Bears just committed to Justin Fields, so that's good. I don't think the Cowboys are going to move on from Dak. I really don't. Lions, do they believe in Jared Goff? Seemingly so. Texans going to need one. Packers more than likely. Colts potentially. No. Vikings maybe. Saints probably. Raiders. Let's see. Dolphins committed to Tua. 49ers, absolutely. Seahawks, maybe. I don't know if they're going to ride out with Geno Smith again, but let's just throw them on that list. They might draft somebody, who knows. Let's see, the Jets, Buccaneers, Commanders, and maybe Titans. I know they took Malik Willis, but, or they sold on Malik Willis. My whole stance with the Malik Willis thing is the Titans were in a playoff race. They were in a playoff push. Malik Willis didn't have the experience and was too raw to help them, so that's why they went with Josh Dobbs. Just my personal thing. So I counted 15 teams. Almost half of the league could use a quarterback next year. Again, Cardinals could, should, would, whatever. Cardinals, Ravens, Panthers, Texans, Packers, Colts, Vikings, Saints, Raiders, 49ers, Seahawks, Jets, Bucks, Commanders, Titans. And now you could even make an argument that a team like the let's see, you could even make an argument that the Lions or the Cowboys could use a new quarterback. You could even make an argument that the Falcons, I know they drafted Desmond Ridder. They seem like they like him. The Commanders did say Sam Howell is going to be their week 1 quarterback, but are they fully sold on that decision? So, there's, some room to increase the amount of teams and decrease, but let's just call it 15 teams, I think, for the lack of better, just a lack of argument here. Obviously, you got the draft, but the quarterback carousel that we're going to see of players on the move, and of course, there's going to be some shocking, surprising players on the move that we don't know of just yet, like maybe, say Lamar Jackson doesn't, sign somewhere else, or let's say Ryan Tannehill gets traded, whatever, odd moves like that. Like, you have Jimmy Garoppolo, Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, Baker Mayfield, who I think he played well enough with the Rams to earn another starting job. Kirk Cousins may be on the move. Andy Dalton may be on the move. Matt Ryan's may be on the move. Was there 7 guys right there? I'm trying to think. There was one more. I can't think of his name. Obviously, Brady's off the market. Zach Wilson could be on the move even. Again, Ryan Tannehill, Geno Smith maybe, Lamar Jackson. There's all these guys. Sam Darnold maybe. There's a ton of names on the board. And again, maybe Dak, in a surprising move, gets traded. Who knows? So we will see a carousel of quarterback movement. And I'm not going to sit here and predict who's going to go where and who's going to be the week one starter. I mean, that's just way too much because we still have the draft. A team that signs a quarterback in free agency because free agency comes first may not need to draft a quarterback, may not want to. However, they miss out. Well, they might find themselves reaching a little bit on a quarterback. So it's an exciting time. This is why I love the football offseason, is because there's so much that could happen. This move could happen. That move could happen. This could be done. That could be done. So, we can't really hold our breath at all and say that teams are going to look similar next year as they do this year, because that's absolutely not true. Where football, specifically the offense, but typically football teams in general revolve around the quarterback. So a very exciting time. I do want to talk about Red Sox. I really do. And I'm not going to dive too much into it, but I definitely do want to talk about the Red Sox, because as much as I love this team, as much as I love this effing team, it's so sad. It's so sad. And listen, they could pull off a 2013 Red Sox, sign all these veterans, and make a deep run. Absolutely. Absolutely. Do I think that's going to happen? Probably not. I really don't think so. But the fact that the Red Sox organization and front office and upper management think that this team is going to be all right, that they're going to be in a good spot, just blinds me. It's just so blinding. I feel like it just makes absolutely no sense to me. You lost your number one, okay, maybe number two player in Alexander Bogaerts. And his pseudo replacement, Trevor Story, is also going to miss a ton of time. So you are going to have your super utility man play full-time shortstop. Listen, I'm not going to say Kike Hernandez isn't capable of playing shortstop, because he more than is. But when I think of a shortstop, right, I think of a guy who's in the lineup 150 or so times a season, who only plays shortstop and shortstop only, who is the foundation of your team. Your Alexander Bogaerts, your Derek Jeters, your Nomar Garciaparra, your Alex Rodriguez with the Mariners and the Rangers, right? Like those kind of guys. You just put them at position number 6 and forget about them. Now listen, if something comes up or a player needs a day off, whatever, Kike is typically the number one person you look to kind of bounce around the field. And you kind of make Christian Arroyo that too, and that really did not work out all too well. I do like the signings of Brandon Drury, Kenley Jansen, Chris Martin. You brought back James Paxton, Chris Sale's coming back. So, there is some optimism. There is some. I don't see it. I'm not buying it. I'm really not. And again, I hope I'm proven wrong. And I could be. But as it stands right now, I'm going to hold my breath and say that this Red Sox team doesn't win 80 games. And I know, I think a couple weeks ago, I was like, oh, the Red Sox, they're not even going to win 70 games. Listen, that could be a very, very well true fact. It really could be. I'm just trying to pull up the standings real quick. My God, it's taking so damn long. There we go, finally. So, the Orioles won 83 games last year. Are you better than the Orioles this year right now? Because the Orioles did not get worse. If anything, their young players developed. They have a little bit of MLB experience. Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson. Did you get better? I'm going to say no. I don't think so. I think you got worse, quite frankly. It'll be interesting to see. It really, really, really will be interesting to see. 4 of those teams in the AL East could win 90 games. Really could. And I don't think you're one of them, in all honesty. So as much as I'm excited for baseball, and as much as I'm so thrilled that baseball season's on the horizon. It's hard for me to get excited for this Red Sox team. It really is. I just don't see it. I just do not see it. They went 43-38 at home. You have to do better than that. You did 35. You were 35-46 on the road. Clearly have to do better than that. And can you keep up with teams like the Astros, who are seemingly a 100-win team every year? Can you keep up with the Mariners, who are going to be a threat in the American League this year? Maybe to the Astros in the West, but a threat in the American League. Can you keep up with the Guardians, who won 92 games almost out of nowhere? But the Twins, they've made some improvements. The White Sox, you'd like to think, made some improvements, although they lost Liam Hendrickson. I don't know. But before we even look at the other divisions, you have to look at the Yankees. Are you better? No. Are you better than the Blue Jays? No. Are you better than the Rays? No. Orioles? Probably not. And only 3 wildcard teams are going to get in. Only 3 wildcard teams will get in. And we haven't even looked at the National League yet, which is by and far better than you. By and far better than you. It's going to be an important rest of the offseason for the Red Sox. I know there's only a couple weeks left, but it's also going to be an extremely crucial spring training to really try to find the correct pieces to put together for this puzzle that we're calling the 2023 season. Because if the Red Sox get off to a slow start like they did last year, and they're just 10-20 or 15-30, there's no hope. There's going to be absolutely no hope. And again, I said it earlier today, and I'll say it again. Teams go through hot stretches. They go through cold stretches. They start off hot. They start off cold. It happens. But when your division has 3 potentially 90-win teams, potentially a 4th, and you're not one of them, it's going to be a tough uphill battle, especially where the calendar has you playing every single team this year. So you're going to be playing the Atlanta Braves, the reigning AL East champion. You are going to be playing the New York Mets, team that just has unlimited money. You're going to be playing a team like the Cardinals, who, although they lost Pujols and Molina, seem like they got better. You're going to be playing against the Dodgers, who won 111 games last year, and the Padres, who, oh, by the way, took your shortstop. We'll have Tatis coming back, I think, in May, and also seemingly got better. So it's just it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Before I wrap up this conversation, I just wanted to quickly talk about where the Red Sox ranked in the wild card race. So the 3 wild card teams that got in were the Orioles, Mariners, and the Rays, Orioles, and Mariners. Excuse me. Rays, Orioles, Mariners. Those are your 3 teams that got in as a wild card team, right? This is almost ass backwards. Let's see. Yankees were yep. It's not in order of, it has Yankees, Rays, Guardians, Astros. It's, what kind of order are we in here? I guess by winning. No, it's not by winning percentage. All right, whatever. Rays, Orioles, Mariners were your 3 teams that got in. Right? No, Orioles didn't get in. Blue Jays got in. Why are the Orioles ahead of the Blue Jays? Okay, so the Blue Jays got in. I remember that. The Mariners got in. I remember that. And the Rays got in. Okay, I remember that. Oh, that was so damn complex. So teams that were better than you that didn't get in were the Orioles, the White Sox, and the Twins. I don't think you're better than the Orioles. I don't think you're better than the White Sox. I don't think you're better than the Twins. So where does that rank you? I don't know. I do not know where that ranks you. So only time will tell. But that will wrap it up for today's episode of Murph's Boston Sports Talk, episode number 179. I really hope you enjoyed this this vast discussion of Celtics, Brady, football, and of course the Red Sox as we just finished wrapping up. Thank you guys so much for joining me for episode number 179 of Murph's Boston Sports Talk. I really appreciate you downloading, listening, and enjoying on all audio-only platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Amazon Music, wherever you can listen to your podcast, wherever you find your podcast, you can find Murph's Boston Sports Talk. So again, thank you so much for downloading, listening, and enjoying. If you're watching this episode on YouTube, thank you so much for clicking on the video. Please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, as I would greatly appreciate the love and support. So thank you again for tuning in there. If you want to reach out to me via social media, you're more than welcome to at Murph's Cardtown. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and of course Facebook. Again, that's at Murph's Cardtown. That is going to wrap it up for today's episode. Please stay warm, don't get blown away, and enjoy the weekend with whatever your plans and endeavors may be. I will catch you for the next one where we talk about the Eagles and Chiefs in Super Bowl 57. Almost a very, very hated Super Bowl matchup. But you know what? We still have to talk about it, and someone is still going to win. But between now and then, guys, you know that I love you, and I will always, always see you.